The rain had not stopped for 3 days. It fell in thin, steady sheets over the city of Greyhaven, turning the cobblestone streets into mirrors. Detective Claire Morphin sat in her dimly lit office, watching raindrops trace lines down the window pane. She was tired, her coffee cold, her desk covered with open files. All of them belonged to one case, the case that had haunted her for the past 6 months. The case of the Vanishing Journal. It began with a disappearance. Professor Leonard Voss, a respected historian at Greyhaven University. One evening, he left his lecture hall and never came home. His car was still parked in the university lot. His office was locked from the inside. And the only clue was a torn notebook page found on his desk, written in hurried ink, "The truth is buried beneath the clock tower. If I vanish, do not follow." Claire had followed anyway. It was her nature. She had built her career on chasing things others refused to see. But this case felt different. The deeper she dug, the stranger the city seemed to become. On the night the rain finally eased, she received a phone call. "Detective Morphin?" The voice was quiet, shaky, a woman's voice. "Yes?" Claire said, sitting up straight. "My name is Emily Voss," the caller said. "Leonard was my father. I think I've found his journal." Claire's heart skipped. "Where are you?" "His old house. Number 12 on Hawthorne Street. Please come quickly." The line went dead. Claire grabbed her coat, her revolver, and her flashlight. The streets were slick and empty as she drove through the night. The wipers groaned across the glass. Thunder murmured far away like a tired god. When she reached the house, it stood in darkness, the curtains drawn. She knocked. No answer. She tried the door, it opened with a long creak. Inside, the air smelled of mold and old paper. "Emily," she called. Only silence answered. Her flashlight beam swept across the hall, illuminating dust and framed photographs. In one of them, a young Emily stood beside her father, both smiling proudly before the university clock tower. Claire moved deeper inside. A light flickered under a door at the end of the corridor. She pushed it open. It was a study, cluttered with books and broken furniture. A desk sat beneath the window, drawers pulled out. And there, on the floor beside it, lay a small leather-bound journal, damp from the rain that leaked through a cracked pane. Claire picked it up. The initials LV were embossed on the cover. The first page was blank. But when she turned to the second, she saw handwriting. "Greyhaven is older than its stones. The tower is its heart. The clock does not measure time, it keeps it prisoner." She frowned, flipping to the next entry. "Every midnight, it resets. And those who know the truth begin to fade." A chill ran through her. Something creaked behind her. She turned sharply, but the room was empty. "Emily," she called again, louder this time. No reply. But then she heard a faint whisper, coming from upstairs. It sounded like someone saying her name. She climbed the stairs slowly, the wood groaning beneath her boots. At the top, the hallway was darker. The air felt thick, like the house was holding its breath. At the far end stood a door slightly ajar, light spilling through the crack. Claire approached. She pushed the door open and froze. The room was filled with clocks, all shapes and sizes, covering every wall. Each one ticked out of sync, creating a maddening rhythm. And in the center of the room sat Emily Voss. Her eyes were wide, her hands trembling. On her lap rested another journal, larger, older, bound in dark leather. "Emily," Claire said softly, "it's all right. You called me." Emily looked up slowly. "He's still here," she whispered. Claire frowned. "Who?" "My father." Before Claire could respond, all the clocks stopped ticking. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, one by one, they began ticking backward. Emily stood abruptly. He told me this would happen if anyone read his notes. What happens? The tower calls them. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The sound of gears grinding filled the air, deep, mechanical, ancient. Claire ran to the window. In the distance, the Greyhaven clock tower glowed faintly against the stormy sky. Its hands were spinning in reverse. Emily clutched the journal tightly. "I think he's trapped there," she said. Claire turned to her. "Then we're going to find out." They drove together through the fog-shrouded streets. The tower loomed higher as they approached, its clock face glowing like an eye. The front gate was chained shut. But Claire broke the lock with a crowbar. They stepped inside the courtyard. The rain had stopped completely now, the air unnaturally still. The heavy wooden doors creaked as Claire pushed them open. The inside of the tower was vast, cold, and lined with gears as tall as walls. The air smelled of oil and dust. Each step echoed. Somewhere high above, the clock ticked, slower now, deeper. Emily whispered, "He used to bring me here when I was little." Said the tower was alive. Claire shone her flashlight upward. "Alive how?" He said it remembers. They reached the first staircase. Each level of the tower seemed older than the one below. As though time moved differently here. Strange carvings marked the stone, circular patterns, spirals, and symbols that resembled constellations. Halfway up, Claire stopped. "Do you hear that?" Emily nodded. It sounded like faint footsteps, but coming from below them. They waited. The sound grew louder. Someone else was in the tower. Claire drew her revolver. "Stay behind me." They continued upward. When they reached the next landing, they saw a faint light flickering in a side chamber. Claire peeked inside, and gasped. The room was filled with journals, hundreds of them, stacked floor to ceiling. Each one bore the initials LV. She opened one, the same handwriting, the same cryptic notes. Dates stretched back centuries. "How?" she began. Emily whispered, "He said the tower keeps time prisoner. Maybe it kept him too." Suddenly, the floor trembled. Dust fell from above. Somewhere higher up, the massive gears began turning again. A deep bell began to toll, once, twice. Midnight. Claire grabbed Emily's hand. "We have to reach the top." They climbed quickly, their breaths loud in the still air. Each toll of the bell made the walls shudder. By the time they reached the final platform, the entire tower was vibrating. At the top, they found a huge circular chamber, the heart of the clock. The great hands turned outside the glass. And there, standing before the gears, was Professor Leonard Voss. He hadn't aged a day. Emily gasped, tears filling her eyes. "Father." He turned slowly, his expression calm but distant. "Emily," he said softly. "You shouldn't have come." Claire stepped forward. "Professor Voss, you've been missing for months." He shook his head. "Not months. Minutes. The tower doesn't let time move the same way inside." Emily ran to him. But he held up a hand. "Stop." His skin shimmered faintly, like light through water. "You can't touch me," he said. "I'm part of the mechanism now." Claire frowned. "What do you mean?" He gestured to the gears. "Every revolution the clock makes, it steals a second from someone outside. I built this to study history, but history consumed me." Emily sobbed. "Then let's destroy it. Please." He smiled sadly. "If the clock stops, so will I." The tower trembled again. Cracks snaked through the walls. Claire shouted over the noise, "If we don't stop it, it'll take everyone." Voss looked at her. "You're right," he said quietly. "But someone must stay to turn the gears manually, to keep the flow stable." He placed a trembling hand on his daughter's cheek. "You must leave, Emily. You must live." Emily shook her head, tears falling. "No. We can find another way." But the clock's glow grew brighter, blinding. Voss turned to Claire. "Take her. Go now." Before Claire could protest, he pressed something into her hand, a small silver key. "It's the reset," he said. "When the clock stops, use it." A great metallic scream filled the chamber as the gears began to grind violently. Claire dragged Emily toward the stairs as the entire tower shuddered. Below them, stone cracked and beams snapped. They stumbled down flight after flight, chased by collapsing walls. At the base, Claire found a control panel hidden behind an iron grate. She inserted the key. The tower emitted a deep hum, and then, silence. The glow from above faded. The great clock hand stopped moving. For a long time, there was only the sound of rain returning outside. Emily fell to her knees, sobbing. Claire placed a hand on her shoulder. "He saved us," she said softly. Days later, the tower was sealed by the city. The university released no statement. The official report listed Professor Voss as deceased, cause unknown. But that night, as Claire sat alone in her office, she opened her desk drawer. Inside lay the silver key. And next to it, a new journal. She hadn't put it there. The initials on the cover read CM. Her own. She opened it with shaking hands. The first line read, "The truth is buried beneath the clock tower. If I vanish, do not follow." Her clock ticked backward. The rain began to fall again. And somewhere far away, the bells of Greyhaven tolled 13 times.